Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to this live edition of Turnaround Marriage. We're so excited to drop in and share an amazing testimony with an incredible couple. Today, we're going to talk about Kelly and Beth in just a minute. But first of all, we're Scott and Rachel from Turnaround Marriage.
Yeah, and we help committed Christian couples finally end the cycles of conflict, negativity, and disconnection and reclaim the love, passion, and playfulness that they once had to the glory of God. So we're so glad you're joining us. If you're joining us live or if you're joining us on the replay, we want you to say hi and we want you to say hello to Beth and Kelly, this amazing powerhouse couple that recently graduated with us.
Yes. And
say hello.
Yeah, hop in. If you're able to drop comments, they would be so meaningful. Kelly and Beth, you guys are an incredible couple. Your story is so compelling. From where you guys were to where you are now is a testimony of the hope of the Lord at work. But I want to just say to you, you both showed up. In our first call that we had, will you be coachable, committed, and resourceful? You guys were 10 out of 10, no doubt in my book, coachable, committed, resourceful. So it's good to see you guys tonight.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So, guys, if you're out there on Facebook and maybe you are in a hopeless place in your marriage, maybe you have really struggled, if you're dealing with conflict, if maybe you are separated for a season and you're feeling hopeless or helpless, Beth and Kelly have a testimony of God's grace and hope for you. They went from helpless to renewed in just a very short amount of time. And so we're glad you're here. Kelly, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do for a living that maybe led to some of the challenges in your marriage?
I've just retired from law enforcement. Spent about 35 years in it.
Okay.
35 years
Wow.
of seeing the worst of the worst in terms of what humanity is capable of, right? The pain, and I don't know what all that you have seen as you've been in all realms of that.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys, before we dove in working together, where would you say that you were in terms of the two of you relationally, mentally, health-wise? Where were you guys when we first started working together, or before we did?
Well, we were actually separated. About 700 miles between us. We both felt pretty helpless. At least I know I felt helpless, and I believe Beth was too.
Felt very helpless. So
yeah.
anytime our conversations just seem to always just end up in the past, very negative things. He has an incredible memory. And so the things would be brought up in full color and talked about for hours. My memory's not that good. And so I would just listen and not, I couldn't really enter into it because I didn't remember things all that well. And so then we try to figure out, what are we going to do about it? Where do we go from here? And we were both very lonely, just both, saying that. And the conversations would just end with no resolution, with no hope, with no help. We don't know what to do. We don't know who to talk to. Kelly didn't really trust anybody to talk to, and so we just walked away and just didn't have any idea what to do.
Beth, you had to make a difficult decision to get out of the way so God could work. Tell us about that.
Well, it was about a day and a half of a decision, and I asked him again, can we please find somebody to talk to? Can we please find help somewhere? And he couldn't think of anybody to talk to or anything to do. And so that next morning I was gone. And I didn't know exactly what was next. I just knew that God was just setting me out of the way. And
yeah, Kelly, what was that like for you when you knew that she was gone? I mean, how were you feeling? What was going through your mind and heart?
Well, like you said, my memories, it was a blessing for work, but a curse for everything else. It was a Saturday morning. It was actually August 22nd. And I woke up and she wasn't there, and I had a feeling that she had left. And I went to work. I came home about 6:45 that night, and the car still wasn't there. And so I called her and I said, "Where are you?" She told me where she was. And I just told her, "So, well, have a nice life."
Wow.
Because I figured it was over with.
Would you say that was sort of the dark night of the soul? I mean, that was like the lowest of the low? Yeah. We don't want to stay there too long because we know how painful it is. But thank you guys for being so authentic and for sharing that, because I know there are someone out there that their spouse has left and they don't know what to do. They might feel like they're at their breaking point, right? And so we just want you to see the hope that's here. So tell us, how did you find help, Beth?
Well, I was just looking on our son's Facebook page. It's where I can see pictures of the grandkids, and Turnaround Marriage popped up, and I'd never heard of it, hadn't seen it, didn't know, we were just looking for anything. And really that was the first thing, and it popped up about the master class, and so I just clicked into it to find out what time I could see it, and it said 7:00 in the morning. So because this was like 11:00 at night or something. So when I saw it, so like 7:00 in the morning, I am going to be up. I'm going to watch the thing. So it's like 45 minutes long, and I watched it. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, this is us. I really feel like this is us. There is just so many similarities and things that you talk about in the master class. And so I think I can't remember the order exactly, but I texted or called Kelly, and I said, I've just watched this. Would you be willing to watch it? And I think it was a text, wasn't it? And so he texts me right back, and he says, "Getting ready to walk the dog. Can I watch it in a few minutes?" And I said, "Sure." So then about a minute later, he texts back and he said, "The dog can wait. I'm going to watch it right now."
What was going on in your mind, Kelly, right then?
Well, I've told y'all, I mean, I had already sat down with two of the pastors at my church, and I was already talking to them because, but I just kind of figured if this is what she wants, this is what we do. At least want to at least try everything.
Yeah. You weren't ready to give up.
Oh.
Tell us about that statistic that your supervisor told you about when you first started law enforcement.
Actually, it's at the academy.
At the academy. Oh, when you were still in school. Wow.
Yes, they told us at the academy in law enforcement that 75% of all law enforcement marriages will end in divorce.
And it had to have been bouncing in the back of your head too.
Well, I'm kind of one of those people I have somewhat of a rebellious nature. If you tell me I can't do something, that always is kind of the push for me to do it.
So you were ready to prove them wrong, which I love.
Yeah.
So when you started working with us, tell us, let's say, Kelly, would you say you were skeptical at all about diving in?
Well, I was. I mean, in the first phone call with Scott, and when we were talking about some things, some of the past actually came to me because I don't know if I want to get in details about this, but I ended up carrying my wife in the hospital back in October till 2017.
Hmm.
And
That was a scary day.
pretty much thought I was going to lose her. But listening to Scott and listening to your program, I just figured I have nothing to lose.
Hmm. And you guys really, really, truly showed up, coachable, committed, and resourceful. And I don't know if anybody has done as much of the work as you guys have done, to be honest
that's
with
probably
you,
true.
or has done it as many times. So
Yeah, we in the back end we can see when you guys are working, and there's no doubt that you did.
Yeah.
You did a lot of work, and
you guys
did it
were
over and over
amazing.
again. You were stellar. So what happened, guys, when we started? We had that call, and we talked about how I said, "You have 100% confident I can help you," and we dove in together. What was it like when we first got started? What was it like in the beginning? Do you remember?
Well, for me, the bad part was I didn't have a computer or anything to work off of. Everything was my cell phone. And
I remember that. Yeah.
I'm probably the least literate with tech stuff of anybody. I've always worked with guys who they love doing it, so I could always hand them stuff, and they were happy to get it. So for me to go on a cell phone and start trying that, and then I talked to my son and I said, "Look, can you help me get an iPad or something?" And thankfully, my son did help me with that part of it. But once we started going, and I'd like to add this part too, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One of the parts that I really wasn't crazy about was the Zoom meetings on Thursday night, because I really didn't want anything to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that ended up being the most valuable part of this.
Yeah, just to clarify, for those that we enroll, we have our clients together on a Thursday night call, and that's where a lot happens on that call. A lot of breakthroughs, a lot of personal breakthroughs that people have, and there's a lot of encouragement that people give for one for another. So it's a lot of fun when we have those. So yeah. So you're a little bit skeptical and even thinking, this is going to be really out of my comfort zone, but that still didn't stop you from diving in.
And we knew it was going to be a lot of work too.
Yeah. And I wanted to say too, the program works perfectly when you're not in the same place too, because even when I booked that first call, I just said, we're not in the same place. Can you do a 3-way call? And you said, I do those all the time. So that was no problem at all. And everything's online. So, even if you're not in the same place, it works fine. And, but then we got back in the same place. So that was wonderful.
that was our favorite. That was probably our favorite Thursday night when we saw the Zoom screens merge, and suddenly Beth was home with Kelly. And that was only a few weeks into the program, if I remember. So, I mean, we're talking about in a very short amount of time, you all were able to dial in communication and resolving conflict and get on the same team again. So just tell us kind of like what's happening now? Like, where are you guys now in terms of your relationship and all that?
Well, I was just going to say, we actually really from the very first phone call, because when you just start asking those questions and make you think of why your marriage is worth fighting for, and writing those things down, that just starts bringing a lot of clarity, and I think it made us realize how much we truly loved each other, and we just needed help figuring out how to get rid of this mess in this place where we were stuck. And so from that very first call, just reasons to fight for your marriage, and makes you dream about the future. And yeah, the modules, everything was just it was tailor-made for us, and it helped us very quickly, and it did, and it's still something, we go back to, we think about every day. And so where we are now, we're not stuck.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we are not helpless anymore. And
Praise
when
God.
the conversations start and we can see it going in a place where it used to go, we stop and can think of something to do different. And we know of a different way to think, a different way to talk to one another. Just, and, as the wife, being the one designed to be the helper, I know how to help now. And I just could not be any more thankful.
Oh, Beth, that's beautiful.
That it is, and I appreciate you sharing that. So would you say that things were really practical for you guys in terms of how to begin applying them right then, and then making those new patterns the pattern for moving ahead too?
Yes.
Very much.
It's kind of like a compass.
How so?
Starts you in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. And do you have your tool belt handy, Kelly?
I don't. I didn't think about that.
Tell us about your tool belt.
Well, on our graduation, I'm a kind of a visual person, so just bringing the tool belt was just symbolic, really, of your whole class. Just we have learned tools to help us, to work through problems, because you're going to have problems. That's life.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes
the problems are hard, but instead of tearing each other apart, you can use it to keep things together.
That's right.
Amen.
Would it be fair to say that some of the things that you guys learned and took away from not only the modules but the whole program have served you in your family and also with other relationships?
Oh, absolutely. My daughter, we hadn't been in it too long, and I actually sat with her for really the first time for about a 3.5-hour conversation. That was good.
Absolutely.
That is a blessing. That is such a blessing. You guys are just amazing. How do you know for sure that this is not just a flash in the pan? How do you know, like, what you guys have through the power of this powerful coaching and changing your mindset about marriage? How do you know that this is going to propel you to stay together and to not go back?
I think one of the first things, Scott, and the first conversation we had, you asked how long we've been married, and it's 38 years. And you asked, you said with your 40th anniversary coming up, what are y'all going to do? We had not had any goals. It has taught us to have goals. And if there is a bump in the road, it's taught us how it's just so many tools for us to work with. It's really the best way I can say it. It's the modules are there, and I love the modules, because even the other day I started feeling like I was going a little bit backwards, and I kind of went back and opened it up, went back to the first 3 modules and was looking at them. And one thing I love about how y'all started out is, where are you at? Where are you at with God? That's the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
That's the foundation.
Yeah, that's the foundation, and that's where we'd gotten away from that too. And so just knowing and feeling that closeness with God again, we never can get away from that again. And so just being close to God is what's going to keep us close to one another.
Absolutely. And you guys, you dove right in with not only doing the work, but doing the heart work too. and being obedient and to the Lord, and opening your heart to say, Lord, we're not really done it the way that we should, and opening up, saying, Lord, work in us. And that's been very, very clear, especially as you guys have dove in, especially we've been on those calls. Having a real humility about you has been really a lot of the key. But you dove in and did that work, and we're still doing the work. We're all works in progress. But the beauty of this is that you guys started making progress right away. And by halfway through, you were already saying how, and that was just after about a month, basically, how have we gotten this far in such a short amount of time? And then by the end, to see night and day, like even as we were getting ready for our call, just to think about where you had come from to where you are now. I wonder, what is the biggest thing that stands out in your mind? The biggest takeaway, if you had to sum up everything that you got in like a sentence or two, what would you say is the biggest thing in your hearts and minds tonight?
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Interesting. How so?
Go ahead.
Well, this is how I started out with my pastor. The pastor said, get a list, write all the things you're thankful for about God, and then all the things you're thankful for about your wife. He said that's all the counseling he's done. That's the one thing he wished he'd have done years ago. And that's exactly the way you all started off. Mm-hmm. Gratitude.
Yeah, we're pretty big on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're frustrated on, or if you're focused on all the things that frustrate you about your spouse instead of all the ways you're grateful for them, it's night and day, right?
It is night and day. It is completely changing your mind. And when you just focus on everything you have to be grateful for, it completely changes you.
Not just your mind, then that in turn changes your heart, how you literally feel, right? I mean, it's like, it's not just a cerebral exercise. It's like you feel different when you're operating there. So we're just tickled pink to see you guys. If you were speaking to that couple or that spouse who their spouse left or whatever, and they're hesitant to reach out for help. They're private people. They don't know who to trust. They're hesitant to book the call. Like, what would your call to action be for them?
Please call.
Don't wait. Don't wait another minute. It is worth it. Just do it, and just don't wait. Just get help, because it's no fun being helpless, and you don't have to stay there.
Amen.
So just go, just do it.
That's so powerful.
Is it fair to say that there is, for those that come coachable, committed, and resourceful, that there is renewal in store for them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We love that. We love that. Guys, we look forward to staying in touch and seeing what God will continue to do. He's already worked miracles in you and through you. And it's just, we feel so humbled and thankful to be able to walk some of that journey with you guys. And we've not met in person yet, but we're going to make that happen one day soon, right?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
We gained 2 friends out of this too, and we're very thankful.
Absolutely, we
Yes.
have. That's right. What were you going to add?
I was just going to add, gosh, it just flew out of my mind. Remember, I'm blissed out over here.
Well, we are,
seeing you guys.
Yeah, we are just so thankful, and to have been able to walk that journey has again been a lot of fun and humbling for us too, just to get to know you guys, because you're amazing people, and your story is so powerful because you guys felt helpless, and it was a dark place, but God had greater things in store, and He does even still. That's true right now. There's greater things even yet that we haven't even seen. Mm-hmm. So we're just delighted to be able to continue to walk some of that journey, maybe not quite as closely, but in the future, just to be able to see what God will continue to do in you guys and through you. So for anybody else that's out there tonight and you're thinking, boy, I wonder if this would work for us. Kelly and Beth, fair to say that this would probably work for a lot of people?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you will commit yourself to it, yes.
Absolutely. I would encourage you guys to take a moment to go to turnaroundmarriage.com/call. And there you can pick a time that works for you and just fill out a short questionnaire. We'll get on a call and we'll talk about what's not working in your marriage right now. Talk about where you guys are. You may not even be in the same place. And then we'll talk about what you hope and dream that the marriage could be. In other words, what did God design the marriage to be for you guys? And if I can help you to get from where you're stuck to where that is, I'm absolutely going to paint that picture of what that would look like. But if not, if there's something better, I'm going to point you that way. Either way, you're going to get clarity about exactly what you need to do next to get back the marriage that you're hoping for. So as Kelly and Beth have said, don't wait. Turnaroundmarriage.com/call.
Kelly and Beth, we want to thank you so much for your honesty, for sharing your story, for being so generous with your time and with your story. You guys are an inspiration to all of us. So for everybody out there, we hope that you go to turnaroundmarriage.com/call. Book the call. If you haven't checked out our masterclass that Beth referred to, you can find it on our website, turnaroundmarriage.com. And thanks again for joining us for this episode of Turnaround Marriage Live.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.